So I recently built this telescope kit. I had a lot of fun building it, although it broke like 30 seconds after I built it. It was made out of wood, but it made me want to learn about the telescope. So here's what I learned. First of all, what is it? The telescope is a tool that's used to make the objects in our night sky look closer, bigger, and clearer by collecting light and then focusing it into our eyes. We have them in outer space, showing us galaxies that are billions of light years away, taking beautiful pictures like this. Just take a moment to appreciate this. It's so beautiful. We have them on distant mountains, scanning the sky autonomously, detecting light we can't see like ultraviolet, infrared, revealing new things about the universe and our place in it all the time. Pretty cool. But how did we get here? Well, to show you, let me take you on a little journey to about 1,000 years ago. There was a man called Al-Hassan ibn let's just call him Al, a mathematician and physicist, trapped in a dark room because he got arrested after a series of events. The specifics of it are important to the story, but basically, the story goes that he promised the ruler of Egypt that he would build this dam across the Nile River, realized he couldn't build it, got scared, and decided to act crazy and get arrested over possibly getting killed. So Al here was sitting alone, and the only thing he had to entertain him was a beam of light entering from a tiny hole in the wall. What that beam of light did was project an upside-down image of the outside world onto the wall on the other side of the room. It's really strange, but what was happening was actually pretty simple. As the light rays coming in from every point on the objects outside entered the hole, the rays coming from the top and bottom crossed, causing them to be flipped when they hit the wall. So he meticulously studied this light and got out of jail with all kinds of new ideas about light. He packed all of it into what's known as the Book of Optics, which I learned is still the foundation for what scientists know about the physics of light to this day. And mind you, he did all this at a time where people thought we saw things by beaming light from our eyes. Now, what's important about these discoveries is that it was our first step to understanding the nature of light, and therefore our first step to controlling it, manipulating it. And it revealed that light travels in straight lines, and that certain materials could alter its direction, like water, parts of the eye, and glass. Now we fast forward all the way to the 17th century, about 400 years ago. There was a lens maker named Hans Lippershey who realized that by holding a concave lens, the type that's curved inward, in front of a convex lens, the type that's curved outward, you could magnify the image you were looking at and see it much more clearly. Now there was a war going on at the time called the Dutch-Spanish War, or 80 Years' War, and so he's like, oh my god, this could be useful in the war. I could get rich! So he puts the two lenses into a tube, rushes out of his shop to ask the Dutch authorities for an exclusive patent for it, and gets rejected because his construction wasn't unique enough. Well, too bad for him, but he did create the world's first spyglass, which is just a smaller, portable version of the telescope. So eventually, the idea spread across Europe and reached At the time, a 44-year-old math teacher in Italy, Galileo went on to combine Al's knowledge of optics to Lippershey's patent application to create his own version of the spyglass, which was up to 10 times more powerful than Lippershey's. Objects appeared 1/3 of the distance off and 9 times larger when they were seen with the natural eye alone, he wrote. How did it work? Well, convex lenses have the property of gathering and focusing light like this. Conversely, concave lenses have the property of diverging light, of spreading it out. So when these two are put together in a spyglass or telescope, the convex lens, called the objective lens, gathers and focuses the light. The concave lens, called the eyepiece, placed before the point where the light rays actually converge into a single point, causes the light rays to spread out into parallel lines, so you can actually see something instead of, blurry crap. This is called the refractor telescope, because it works by bending or refracting light. So now that Galileo had this really powerful telescope, did he point it at his enemies for war? Did he point it at birds to do some bird watching? Well, of course, he pointed it at the night sky. And what he saw was just extraordinary. He found out there were a lot more stars in our night sky than we thought. But most importantly, he saw craters on the moon, spots on the sun, Jupiter's moons, the phases of Venus. These were groundbreaking things at the time. People had thought that heavenly bodies were smooth, perfect, unchanging, not rough and chaotic like the Earth. The moon shouldn't have mountains and craters, the sun shouldn't have spots. And yet there they were. Jupiter having its own moons showed that not everything orbited around the Earth. Venus being fully illuminated couldn't be explained if the Earth was at the center of everything. The things he saw shattered geocentrism, the idea that we were at the center of the universe, and gave the strongest pieces of evidence for the time that the sun was at the center instead, called heliocentrism, flipping our view of the universe upside down. The Galilean telescope, the type of telescope that Galileo made, is practically obsolete today. Most telescopes today are called reflector telescopes, which use mirrors invented by Newton. But for me, this represents something much bigger than just a telescope. As we learn more about this universe we live in, we realize that what we saw of it was only a tiny, tiny part of the whole thing. And as we learned that, we tried to see more, to know more. That's what I like about science. In one form, it lets us see the stars more closely. In another form, it lets us see the trillions of little bacteria that fill our body and secretly control us. In another, it lets us see light beyond the visible spectrum. When our eyes don't work anymore, it lets us see the world again. From the cosmos to the microscopic world, science lets us see things that we never would have seen with just these little eyes. And that's what science is to me too. Now, I live in the city, right? I never see the stars. But I know that there's the moon out there, the planets of the solar system, the comets, the Andromeda galaxy, black holes. Science is a lens that shows me a world, that keeps showing me a world that I never could have seen without it. So guys, keep looking up. Called the objective lens gathers and the concave lens called the eyepiece placed